Let's start with a question you've probably avoided your whole life. Who's really in control of you? You. Or the thousand little impulses, fears, and doubts that pull you in 100 different directions every day. You wake up in the morning and tell yourself you'll work on your goals. But instead, you check your phone, you say you'll eat clean, but somehow you find yourself reaching for the junk food. You promise you'll focus, but your mind drifts to fantasies, anxieties, and what other people think of you. And if you're honest, you feel like you're constantly being hijacked by a part of you that doesn't care about your dreams. That's the enemy Miyamoto Musashi spent his life mastering. Not just the swordsmen he fought, not just the warlords he faced, but the greatest battle of all, the battle against himself. Musashi was not just a samurai. He was the most undefeated swordsman in Japanese history. 61 duels, 61 victories. But here's the thing, he wasn't the strongest, or the fastest, or even the most technically perfect fighter. What made Musashi different was that he understood something most of us never realize until it's too late. Victory in the world begins with victory over yourself. And for Musashi, self didn't mean some poetic idea of who you are. It meant the raw, ugly truth, your fears, your greed, your vanity, your laziness. If you can't master those, the world will master you. He wrote the Book of 5 Rings, not as a manual for killing, but as a philosophy of living. A blueprint for clarity, discipline, and inner strength. Plato once said, "The first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself." Nietzsche sharpened the idea, warning that without discipline, we become slaves to our desires. Today, that slavery is quiet. It hides in the scroll of your social media feed. It hides in procrastination, disguised as rest. It hides in the way you avoid difficult conversations, difficult work, difficult truths. Musashi's life was a rejection of that quiet slavery. From a young age, he embraced discomfort. He would live in caves, sleep on the ground, wear simple clothes, and eat whatever was available, sometimes going days without food. Why? Because he understood that comfort weakens the mind, and a weak mind is the easiest target in the world. Musashi believed in what he called the void. Not nothingness, but the place beyond distraction, beyond fear, beyond ego. A mental stillness where you see reality as it is, not as you want it to be. Reaching the void meant stripping away all unnecessary things. And here's the part most people can't handle. You have to kill the version of yourself that clings to comfort, to pride, to easy pleasures. Psychologists today might call this ego death. It's uncomfortable. It feels like part of you is dying, because it is. And that's exactly why most people will never master themselves. We love the word freedom, but in Musashi's philosophy, freedom isn't doing whatever you want. That's chaos. True freedom is doing exactly what you decide, even when every cell in your body begs you not to. Think about it. The freedom to focus when your mind is screaming for distraction. The freedom to train when your body wants to rest. The freedom to speak the truth when your fear tells you to stay silent. Bonhoeffer, the German theologian who resisted the Nazis, wrote something that could have been straight from Musashi. Action springs not from thought, but from a readiness for responsibility. Freedom is responsibility over your own impulses, and most people will trade that away for comfort, approval, and safety. One of Musashi's most famous duels was against Tasashi Kojiro, a master swordsman feared for his skill. Musashi arrived late, intentionally keeping Kojiro waiting in the hot sun. He came with a wooden sword carved from an oar during the boat ride to the fight, and he won decisively. Why? Because the duel wasn't about the weapon, it was about the mind. Musashi had already won before the first strike. He had mastered his fear, his impatience, his need to impress. Kojiro had not. This is the quiet truth about life. Most of your battles will be won or lost long before they begin, in the choices you make when no one is watching. You might think Musashi's lessons belong to an age of swords and duels. But look around, we live in an age where people are defeated not by warriors, but by their own scrolling thumbs. Where battles are lost, not in combat, but in the kitchen, the bedroom, and the endless war against our own short attention spans. Our enemies are no longer armed samurai. They are invisible algorithms designed to keep you addicted, marketing campaigns engineered to make you feel inadequate, and the soft whispers in your mind telling you to do it later. Musashi's discipline wasn't just for the battlefield. It was for this. To master yourself doesn't mean you'll be perfect. It means you will act with purpose, always. It means you will do the hard thing even when you don't feel like it. It means you will train your mind to see through fear, ego, and temptation. Machiavelli wrote that fortune favors those who prepare for every possible outcome. Musashi lived that. He trained with every weapon, studied every opponent, and mastered both strategy and adaptability. In your life, this means preparing for the moments you are weakest. When you're tired, when you're angry, when you're tempted to break your own rules. If you can master yourself in those moments, you've already won. You don't need a sword. You don't need a duel. Your training ground is every choice you make today. When you wake up, do you hit snooze or do you rise? When you feel fear, do you avoid or do you step forward? When you're tempted, do you indulge or do you remain in control? Every decision is a cut of the blade. Every moment is a strike. And here's the final truth. Mastering yourself isn't a one-time victory. It's a duel you fight every single day. The day you stop showing up to that fight, you've already lost. Musashi wrote, "You must understand that there is more than one path to the top of the mountain. But the first path, the one that makes all others possible, is the path inward. If you can conquer the chaos within you, nothing outside of you can defeat you." So the question remains, will you keep letting your impulses, fears, and doubts command your life? Or will you pick up your sword, whatever form it takes, and begin the only battle that truly matters? Because if you can master yourself, you can master your life.